welcome back to episode 144 of Tall Boy Radio. Now, last time we had Della on, we promised we'd get her back on. I bet you weren't expecting to have her on quite so soon, but we are also joined by her partner in crime, her compadre from the Beer Emporium, Liam, but we'll get to those in a second. First, Gazza, do you want to say hello and tell us a little bit about what it is that you're drinking this week?
Evening, guys. Really enjoyed the last episode Della was on, so really looking forward to Liam and Della again. Love it when we have sort of guests on. And my first beer, I always say if I finish the first and I drink the second, but I always do anyway. So that's an Ultra Phase, North Brewing, a dipper, about 8.5%. Tried that on the podcast. It must have been 4 or 5 weeks ago maybe, and loved it. So got another one of them. And then when that goes, I've got a lovely little gnome there, just nice and ready. Looking forward to this. Always enjoy having guests on, as I said. Love chatting to new people. Don't know where the conversation is going to go, but we'll find out in about an hour's time probably. So all good.
Indeed. Right. The beers I've got, before we get to our guests, are both bought from the Beer Emporium in Sandbach. So the first one, which is the Burnt Mill Brewery Under the Moon Imperial Stout, which is the coffee edition. And I tell you what, that's what I'm drinking now. And that one is phenomenal. That is a really, really smooth beer. That was a great recommendation. And then the other one I've got after that is the Almasty Brewing Blended Barrels. And again, it's another Imperial Stout. So they come in at 10%. So, as I said, bought from the Beer Emporium in Sandbach, joined by two of their folks today. Do you want to say hello and tell us if indeed you guys are drinking any beer tonight?
Come on, Della, you've been on before. You can do your bit first, Della.
Well, I've gone a little bit different. I've got Black Iris. There we are. Ta-da. A Strawberry and Basil Imperial Goes. It is 10%. And it has got quite a colour to it.
Oh, wow.
And then after that, they came today, but I wasn't there. It's the Play brew, and I've got the Raspberry and Guava Fizzy Dummy Sour.
Wow.
0.2. So I thought, yeah, I'll do that. I didn't want anything too heavy tonight. It's just me and small people upstairs, so no 3 10%. Well, actually, the one's 10%, isn't it? Oh well, put there in
Never mind, Dave.
There's no school run tomorrow. I'll be fine.
Oh, it's not, isn't it?
It is.
Right then, guys. These have both been ordered by Della, as far as I'm aware. I've started off with the Whisper by Flock Brewery from Canterbury. It says on the back of the can, just like a Mosaic Citrus Simcoe 5.2% DDH pale. And if we get through all of that, I bought the Beak and Third Moon Imperial Stout, which tells me to expect flavours of cacao, bourbon, fresh tobacco, desiccated coconut, breakfast pancakes with maple syrup. So I think I'll definitely be getting some way through that tonight with your guys as well. So I think that's a solid lineup by the looks of it.
That is a very, very solid lineup. And I should say as well, actually, because I bought 3 beers when I was in there, but as I did say, I may just drink one of them, and I did. And it was an absolute humdinger. It was the Erebus, was it? That one.
I've still not tried that. That one.
I have never had a Imperial Stout so bitter, but it was perfect. Literally,
Nice.
it couldn't have been any more bitter, and any more bitter, and it wouldn't have been enjoyable. But it was just right to the very point with that dark sort of. It's just for the record, guys, it's a 14.5% raspberry chocolate cake Imperial Stout.
That'll do it then.
That'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
We need some stouts, and I saw them. All 3 of them went. Just gonna buy them. And hope that nobody questions it. Like, no, that's 4.5%. I just thought, just do it, and then ask forgiveness later.
While you're talking, while you mentioned stout, I went out last night with a couple of friends. Me and the wife went out with a couple of friends. We went into the Titanic brewery, Bod ad, we were in there, and I didn't, but I thought of you, Ad, because they did the chocolate and vanilla stout, the Titanic one. And I was like, that's definitely Adam's drink. And I was like, do I get one? Do I not do it? And I didn't in the end. Obviously the stout conversation has come up, and I know that you like stouts and stuff, don't you? So I must admit, when I was at the bar ordering, I did think, oh, that's definitely Adam. That is 100%.
Well, it's a good one, that one. Although I think it's only about 4.5%. So
Yeah.
I do like them a little bit stronger.
That's just for limbering up towards the Imperials, right?
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's just
it,
the nice little aperitif, as they say. You know, what I mean, just like a nice, you know,
an amuse bouche.
Amuse bouche.
Amuse, absolutely.
That's the one. That's the one.
Amused.
Indeed. So the first thing we have to mention anyway, because obviously it's Tallboy Radio, and one of the things we often get asked on here, is it called Tallboy Radio? Because Andy and I are both quite tall. And the answer is no, it isn't. However, like I say, exciting times. First time we've had a guest on here that's taller than the both of us, dude. You know, and I'm not talking about Della, just to be clear.
Yeah, I'm 6'6", and I have to make sure to keep my elbows tucked in because they seem to be everybody else's head height behind the bar at the very the Beer Emporium. So yeah, I have to be quite careful of that. And you guys are a bit shorter, but you'll have less chance of banging your head and getting brain damage, which whenever I do it in the cellar, I always just stop to check and go, no, I can still think. No, we're all right on this one. So it comes with its benefits, but also comes with its pitfalls as well, guys. So,
well, this is it. People think, oh, it's wonderful being tall. But actually, no, it isn't, because it has its drawbacks as well, especially if you remember the old Romping Donkey back in the day and places like that.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember that place. Sadly, no longer with us. I think there's a couple of houses on that old site now, but yeah, I remember going in there. And, I mean, even I had to bend to get into. You guys would be horrendous for you guys.
I went into the Broken Cross in Rudith, and I was doing a walker down the canal, and I walked in, and every one of the regulars looked at me because I was crouching between the eaves, and I just said to them, they all looked at me, and I said, "This pub was built before people were my height, wasn't it?" And I did. I think I managed to get out of there without banging my head that day, so I was particularly proud of that, actually.
Oh, yeah, right.
I worry about you coming to my house, Liam. I feel like you'd be like Gandalf.
That's exactly what I thought, especially with those little people running around. You've got Della. That's quite the evocative image, I think.
All my doors finish about here.
I walked past a house in Beaumaris, and there's a picture of me like knocking on the door, and the door literally here, and I'm like stood there going in. That was quite that does circulation on Facebook every now and again. That does.
I tell you. Well, actually, you say you're worried about Liam coming to your house. I'd be more worried about Gaz. After last time he was on, he was trying to stalk you, wasn't he? Trying to find out your address.
Just so we could give a review. Give a review.
Wow.
Review. Right.
Oh, no. I don't remember. must have been that strong beer I was drinking.
That's it. One of the things you mentioned last time, Della, you mentioned that Liam does it as well. So we'll mention it early before we get onto the Beer Emporium and beer in general. And that's stand-up. So there's something that the two of you have in common. Now, Liam tells me, you know, that your level was slightly different to his, but I'd like to hear about them both.
Well, I did it through uni, mainly because they paid a lot for the amount of time that you were on, and you didn't have to actually be funny. I mean, you could bomb and they'd still give you 40 quid, which when you're a student, that's a lot of money. And then in my last year, I did it like every week just to kind of get some money together. And I'd do Laughing Calves and the Frog and Bucket, and just kind of keep the money coming in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a really good time. But then I had kids, and it just ruined my confidence. Not that they're like Ming the Merciless; they didn't come out like really undermining me straight away. Like, you know, you've got fat now and stuff like that. There was none of that from my kids. I mean, there is now, but but Liam, I think at work, Liam brings it out of me because I can't not rise to it. So we end up down paths we didn't think would go down, or saying things that you would never say in front of polite company. And
at work as well, let's remind ourselves.
Yeah, every now and again you catch yourself, you go, I'm not going to say that, and then Liam will go, say it, just say it.
So Have you ever got up on stage though and absolutely bombed, absolutely tanked, like nobody's found it in the slightest bit amusing?
There was one time at the Frog and Bucket that I did try a joke that was very questionable, and I knew it wasn't gonna go down well, but I just said it anyway. And you know when people go ooh, and then they laugh. Yeah. And I will remember the heart stopping moment because it felt like forever, but between the ooh and then that was actually pretty funny. It felt like a long time.
Yeah.
And that was the time that my brother and my mum had come to see me as well.
It was.
And just after that moment, then were you then able to? Did you go into like a moment of panic and then forget the rest of your set, or was it just like, I'm just going to back on, or was there that like sheer panic that, oh my god, this could go like one or two ways?
I think I just went into a fugue state, just carried on with the whole. Got off, and honestly, I felt physically sick. And then my brother came over and said, like, you've got balls on you. I think it's because where I was in the lineup was like coming towards the end of the evening, and everybody else who was on at the time, they were from all over the UK, and a lot of them had gone, oh, Salford's a bit crap, isn't it? You're like that kind of thing. Like you're saying it to a crowd of people from Manchester and from Salford.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't pitched very well. So as I'd said, I was from Bury Bolton. I think everyone went, all right, okay, she's not going to say what shit all we live in. So there was a little bit of like, I felt okay. Like there was a community there. We were already kind of against the rest of the people who had been on. So it was all right. But that moment, I could, it's one of those ones. It's one of those ones where you think about it just before you go to bed.
That's exactly what I have from the terrible, terrible time. The first time I got up, I've only done it twice, right? So and open mic nights in Winsford, not comedy open mic nights, music open mic nights, where you've got a guy doing a Bob Dylan track, and then there's a bloke playing a saxophone with a jaunty hat on. And then I got up in Winsford and started doing some jokes about the withdrawal from Afghanistan and things like that. And it wasn't, the first time I got up, I arrogantly thought I'd remember the intelligent things I thought about in the days running up to it. And then when you get up there and there's 35 people looking at you, you don't even remember a word. There's no words. They've all disappeared. And I remember I actually have a video of this, which I've hidden because it's that moment that Della
thinking,
that. Look at that face.
See that.
I will let you see that, Della. You are one of the few people I would let see that because I know you've been through it yourself, right? I promise you, I'll let you see that. There's one moment where I go, this isn't going well. Right. And I don't even remember saying that, and it was just an impulse. And I remember having to think, like, right, and bless him. I went, right, can we start this again? And everyone clapped and let me go again, and it went a couple of % better than that for the following minutes. What really, and then what you said there, like, guy came up to me afterwards and went, like, even though I just bombed in front of 40 people, basically, he went, that took some fucking balls, that did, dude. Just like, and I'm like, without him saying that, I'd have probably just gone and throw myself in the river around the corner. Because the feeling is like nothing you've ever felt before. I heard someone say, another comedian say, it's like professing your love for somebody in public and getting refused. Right, and it's just a kind of thing of all-consuming pain, and you can't even think about anything else for a while. But I got up again the week after, and again it went slightly better than the week before. So that's the limit of my stand-up experience, basically.
I had, Jason Manford compared one, which was like it was actually part of my university course, and he compared it. And on the run up to it, I was doing a radio show between 12 and 4 in the morning, which was students coming home. And nobody checked what I was doing, so I'd talk a lot of rubbish. But then my lecture for comedy was at like 9:30, so I just didn't sleep. And I remember thinking once that having an opal fruit, oh, right. What was it? This was a long time ago. I remember thinking if I put an opal fruit in my mouth and then like spit out water, thinking like it because it's made to make your mouth water.
Yeah.
At the time, that was funny, and I did that in front of Jason Manford on stage. I remember thinking, you know what? maybe comedy isn't for you. You know,
That's the best compliment anyone can give you, though.
oh
Yeah.
bad. It was so bad. And that's like things I think about, and when I think if I ever did go back to doing it, it's that what if I do that again? Like, what if part of me thinks that's really funny? It's not funny. And it's scary. Like I did one for Channel M. Do you remember Channel M? If you remember, they did it. They had a Manchester Channel M, and it was just basically a load of like people who weren't quite good enough to be on actual TV, and they never white balanced the camera, so it was always like really either very dreary or blue. And then they asked me to do like a little comedy thing, and it was in the cellar of a Delphi house in Salford. It was really bad. And that was one of my first ones, and I'd written notes on my hand because I thought that would be a good idea. And by the time I got up there, they'd all kind of melded because it was sweaty. Under my hand, and I was like, I've written notes, but they're all gone now. And then they all started laughing, and I was like, well, A, I'm dyslexic, so I've written notes, so I'm never going to be able to read them again. So it's like having a prescription. This means nothing. They all laughed, and I was thinking, this is great. Everybody's laughing. And I came away from that one feeling really, really good, but it had gone very badly. So that was a bad time. That was bad juju, but it did go down well. No, it's not.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, we probably had some episodes like that. See how many guys?
A couple, more than a couple. That we've had quite a few episodes like that. I think,
most of them go that
way.
Most
of them, I think.
Yeah, that's it. So that's mad. Do you reckon you could do stand up, Gazza? I mean, you're a teacher, though.
I teach. So obviously, I've gone through you sort of learn to teach. And they sort of give you tricks and hints and tips about standing up in front of people and how you present and how you can target various people in the room and you can pick out various things. So, but comedy, no, not at all. Like the only comedy is like dad gags on Christmas Day afternoon. You know what I mean? That's the extent of my sort of repertoire of gags. I mean, there's a couple of ones that you should tell just year on year, and the people that come round to our house don't remember you told it last year, so you tell it again like next year.
Well, they're being polite.
They're being polite.
They're probably
very polite.
They probably are being very polite. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was shit last year, and it's going to shit this year, and it'll be shit next year as well. So, but no, I couldn't. It's not the standing up in front of people. I'm just not very funny.
And also you've got a very bad, like, it's one of the only performance things where you can't really practice it, because what you think is funny doesn't mean it's going to make anybody laugh on stage, and you have to find that out the hard way more often than not. Like, so you do have to just get up there and try it out. And
I don't think I could handle, not my confidence, but I don't have to handle the feeling of standing up there and absolutely tanking, and just like standing there and you're going so hot and so red, and you're just thinking, oh my god, like I just need to get off this stage. And if there's the old Stephen's Crook sort of thing with like the neck sort of, just waiting for somebody just to sort of, get rid of you because you're tanking that badly, I don't think I could handle that. I just freeze. I just stand there and just go like, this is going so badly. And probably what you said, Lisa, this is going really badly, I'm really sorry.
When I was bombing, there's a guy that walked through. It was at the Hive in Winterford, which is the old DBs, right? And a guy walked through who I grew up with, Anthony West, right? And as he walked through, one of the things I said was, "Oh God, Westy, I haven't seen you since I chased you up a tree with dog shit on a stick," right? And that was a genuine thing. I hadn't seen him since we were about 14, and he was up the top of a tree when it was windy, and we just chased him up there with some dog shit, right? And it was genuine, and that got the laugh. And that was so people laughed at that, and I went, "Oh right, you can say things. You don't have to say what you've written." And then from that where it went moderately better. Dog shit on a stick joke. So we live and learn, guys. We live and learn.
That's it. Dog shit on a stick. That's the way forward. That's
the tagline for tonight's episode, anyway.
In the blurb.
Yeah, we should. In fact, we will. Yeah. So, from those heady days, then, how did you find yourself then at the Beer Emporium, Liam? We heard sort of Della's story last time she was on, but
I love
yourself.
that. Yeah, I think the lockdown chapter is a very important part of the story. But I will go back to the beginning. I was the wine specialist at Waitrose when I found out that there was a cool little beer shop that had opened up in Sandbach. From some guys who used to go to Belgium a lot and tried interesting beers. So they started up this little shop unit, which had been in Stoke, I believe. It was in Burslem for 12 months first, but they didn't have much footfall. And the guy, Stephen Avon, who started up, they actually from Alsager. You guys have probably, well, at least been at the pub with them, I imagine, because they're still pub enthusiasts. And I was walking over there on my dinner hour to pick up some beers and got chatting to the guys. And I think one of the weird things is me and my mate Rob were actually the first people, I think, to drink on the premises in there because they'd got an on license to serve the bottles and cans that they were selling in. So we turned up on our lunch break and were trying a couple of beers one day, and it became a little bit of a drinking hole after that. And when Stephen Avon were looking to retire, I'd offered, I think I did say to him, I'm like, well, if you want to retire, if they want to sell the business, but if you don't end up selling it and want to retire, I'll run it for you. Because I've never even poured a pint or worked in a pub before, but at that point I was getting into a bit of a beer geek and I was home brewing every week as well. So it kind of seemed like a natural fit. But anyway, they sold the business. And some random guy from Oaks Chapel had bought it. And on his first week behind the bar, I walked in for a beer, and he basically said to me, I've been told I need to give you a job." I was like, "Yeah, I think you've been told right." So we had a quick chat. I went to see him at 9 o'clock the next day. And I had this little wobble where I'd been at Waitrose for 12 years at that point. It was a really sturdy job when, I say, obviously, I'd gone through the 2008 economic downturn. I was like, I had this full-time super job, which with really good benefits, and was a little bit reluctant to jump. And when I told my dad, I'm like, "Nah, I think I'm going to stay put at Waitrose." He goes, "You're a fucking idiot. Like, you've been talking about getting something like this for a couple of years, and it's just landed on your feet, and it's on the same, it's where you work already. You're not going to take it." So I ended up jumping. And yeah, my boss, Rich Jepson, he'd worked in telecoms for quite a while. I think he'd been made redundant and wanted to work for himself. So with the money that he got, he bought our little beer emporium in Sandbach and took me on. And I think I was very lucky to have this guy that was just let me do what I needed to try and get all these interesting and amazing beers in. And he got some good staff from day one that could help him turn this little place into hopefully a bigger success. So I've been there 6 years now. I hadn't poured a pint before I started working there, basically. But that leads me, I'm going to jump right to the end of the story. Because I've been there for so long now, what I need at the Beer Emporium is someone enthusiastic who's getting into craft beer that hasn't been surrounded by it for so long. So that's hence why Della's little one shift a week turned into, "Can you fill all those apple boxes on the wall for me and get some kegs every now and again as well?" So yeah, I've been very fortunate. I've had my boss Rich is absolutely fantastic. He's been through some really tough times with the business and outside of the business, and we've all rode through it. We've got great staff now. It runs itself. Della said last week, we are super lucky to really enjoy going into work and having a laugh with all the customers and the staff. It's a really nice place to be. I don't reckon I could go and do a shift in Wetherspoons after my tenure at the Beer Emporium. Let me put it that way. Anyway, I think that'd definitely be the wrong way around of doing it. So, but without good people coming through the door and trying the beer, we're just some muppets stood there chatting about it and not really making any money. Yeah. So it's who walks through the door that's just as important who's behind the bar. So it's a nice little community of really nice people. We are very, very fortunate. So yeah, so cheers to the Beer Emporium.
Indeed. I'll raise
Yeah,
my glass
really
to you there as well.
Absolutely, amen to that.
Like I say, I pop in there from time to time. My brother pops in there a fair bit as well. As I think
I spoke to your brother probably more than I spoke to you, actually, buying your Attila the Hen and your big exotic beers and things like that. So yeah, he's a good brother to have. He is, man.
Yeah, you know what I mean? He's got 43 years or so of previous, so you probably say that wasn't the case, but yeah, he's making up for it now.
I was going to say I've known him for a while, and yeah, okay, questionable. But he has his good moments.
Yeah, but there's certainly more.
At least
I tell you what, yeah, he is. I shouldn't mock him really, to be honest. He probably won't buy me another beer again.
Does he watch? He does watch, yeah.
He does. Yeah, he does. To be fair, and offers critique every single week. Bless him. But we appreciate that, dude. We do, and I appreciate the beer and your brotherdom, if indeed that is a word. I don't think that it is, but nonetheless. So yeah, it like you say, it is a great little shop. It has a fantastic range of beers. Something I have to ask you this. Something struck me. I like both your opinions on this particular brewer. Brewdog. That's not a beer that's ever available in there. Is that a dirty word I've just used in front of you guys?
It
Go-
went for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think some gin arrived the other day and it was Brewdog gin. I was like, what is that?
Yeah, no, you did.
Right here. Why is it there? So I think there's a very comprehensive podcast actually that if you wanted to know the ins and outs of why I'd put, me as somebody of this persuasion doesn't like Brewdog. There's a very good podcast on it actually, and I'll send you the link for it. Just to do with ethics and how they treat their staff, and then how later on that developed into some quite poor apologising. The apologies that I have heard are very much how like my brother apologies. It's a lot of like, I'm sorry you felt.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
It's an apology wrapped up in a justification, isn't it? That's the problem. Which I'm sorry that you felt like that, but we did it for this reason, or we did it, and it's like that's not an apology. That's just you effectively trying to justify why you did things in the first place. I mean, it's funny because quite a lot of our podcasts, we went to phase, and we didn't really set out to do this, but we mentioned sort of Brewdog quite regularly on quite a lot of our episodes, and but good and bad, and it was like obviously there was the open letter from all the employees.
Bad. It was mainly bad.
It was mainly bad, to be fair, yeah. And then obviously then you look at the regeneration bit, and they're going to plant trees and this, that, and the other, and is that just a pop out for? Anyway, I'm not going to get into Brewdog again because we've been there, we've done that, but it was literally like it wasn't quite every week, but. Yeah, that they did get a bit of a bashing from us at one point, on our podcast, and it was just, I suppose it was just a bit piss poor, wasn't it? You sort of, this company's come along, and then all of a sudden you looked at it and you thought, okay, they're doing really good, they're doing really well, and then this open letter arrived, and you're like, really, like, wow, like, kind of worms click open. Yeah. And all of a sudden, like, and I won't say quite, it was Pandora's box and all that, but it was, it's like bloody hell, like what's going on there, sort of thing. And strangely, we haven't really mentioned him that much since up until tonight, really.
So I've still, I'm saying still because there's no way of really getting rid of it. I was a Brewdog shareholder from quite early on. I was taking a bus up to Winsford so I could buy, when they first signed on in Morrison's, when they were still like little home brewers in a shed somewhere. I was taking a bus up to buy bottles because it was the only good beer you could get in a supermarket, basically.
Yeah.
And I say I had amazing times in the bars that I've been all over the place. But then when they turned into this huge corporate entity, and then you then realize when you look back behind that there's obviously becoming the biggest food and drinks retailer in the country 3 years on the bounce, take some big business decisions, and what you normally find is morals and ethics have been reduced as you go through that, just to make money. And then the whole thing of the culture of the set and all that, it's just horribly messy. If there was a way of getting rid of my Brewdog share that wasn't going on one day a year to see if any other muppet wants to buy it, it's not a share, it's crowdfunded basically. But I gave him 95 quid and got that in free delivery and discount on craft beer in the first 12 months. And now I'm just sat with this fading thing in my pocket going, when I go into the bars, it's just all very samey. It's basically like a supermarket beer showcase when you go into Brewdog now. And every city there is one has a better place 30 seconds round the corner. So we don't need them anymore. But back in the day.
Independently owned place as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they were absolutely vital in where we are now. But obviously, becoming a big company like that, it's just none of that surprised me when I came out. When you hear about so much of it, or so many problems within it, it was that's a problem. Like I hope you enjoy your money, guys, but your name doesn't really mean much anymore. So,
no, it's interesting that, isn't it? And not only that, though, when you think about them, they market themselves as craft brewers, but like you say, they are an absolute behemoth of a company. So
Yeah.
Well, they're not the traditional definition of craft brew. They're not, are they? They don't meet that definition because effectively they've gone so huge that actually their barrels and their production just massively supersede what would be effectively defined as a craft beer. So
there's an interesting thing as well with the scale in which you brew your beer, right? So everyone I used to have had a go at Thornbridge because they thought they changed the Jaipur recipe, right? But all they'd done is just change the equipment and the size of which they made it. So they went from being home brewers in a shed like most people did to within 5, 6 years to being a very big brewery, and the beer tasted different because it became a mass-produced beer just by the very size of the tanks that's being doing it. You can't keep that homebrew small batch flavor and quality when you're brewing 200,000 liters of it at a time on an automated system. It's just, although it's craft beer by ingredients, it's not craft beer by process. So it's just the scale of it's very important. And I think Brewdog's original brewery in Ellen, the small one, now just brews punk IPA all day round, all around the clock, right? So but someone's buying it, so
this is it. Well, a lot of people are buying it.
So you can get it.
I talked over the top of you there. What did you say? Sorry.
And it's in home bargains. You can go and get it there for a So,
this is true.
But that's the dichotomy of craft brewing, though, isn't it? That you find these people who are wonderful, small time, like little breweries, and when lots of people find them, they increase production, and then they switch between little and everybody loves them to big, and that's when they start getting problems. But it is a business after all, and these people, they want it to be a success. So it's treading this line between we're some guys, we do 4 or 5 beers and we release them every 3 weeks, and then this big brewery who have that always brewing, this always brewing, and it's a consistent supply, and that's where we find the difference. And it's really sad because as soon as they start doing this is a consistent supply, I kind of go, all right, who's new? Like, because like Cloudwater, for example, they've gone little. They churn out. Well, I think the last time I looked on their availability, they had 56 different beers.
How many did you want, Della? Because when I've done that before, it's normally you just kind of swiping past like you're on Tinder, basically. Yeah. You're going, 3% lager, 4% pale. Now you're all right. Where's the big boys? Like, that's
Simcoe and a Mosaic.
Oh, funny that.
Like, it's just, you become blind, don't you, as well? It just, no. And if anything, this week has taught me that I've been ringing really tiny breweries and speaking to Lucy. And Lucy knows what's coming up, so because she's the head brewer, but she's also the person who answers the phone. So you build these little relationships with people, and they say, hi, well, what are you looking for? Give me 2 weeks and I'll get back to you with that. I'll get you something of that. Whereas with Cloudwater, it's like, that's what you've got, that's what you get given.
That's the danger, isn't it? And we love these small brewers, and and we want them to be successful because we want these people to keep producing those beers, and we want to be able to keep buying them. But then, like you say, sometimes it tips too far the other way, and you then don't get the quality. So the like this beer here as well. So I don't know too much about Burnt Mill Brewery. Perhaps you guys can fill me in a little bit about it. It's not something I'm familiar with, but this one, I tell you what, it is an absolute dream. It is so smooth. You wouldn't dream that this is a 10%. Well, as you would, I can feel it in the old cranium. But other than that, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, I think I'd only had that a couple of days before you came in to buy some beers, basically. So that was fresh in my memory when I knew you wanted stouts, and I think there was only 3 cans left. I had one, and you had one of the last ones, I think. So you've timed that right. And I'm a big coffee drinker. I love black coffee. So when I have a really high quality coffee beer, I'm assessing the coffee flavor, not just the beer flavor as well. And it can be very easily disappointed when you do things like that. The more you analyze, the more you'll be disappointed. But that one was one of the best coffee beers I've had in quite some time, without a doubt.
Yeah, 100%. Same as yourself. I do enjoy black coffee, and this is, and to be honest with you, it is blacker than Andy's Heart, who's obviously not on the podcast tonight, unfortunately. But yeah, this is an absolute humdinger of a beer. So if you're getting some more in,
After talk of stout, I've had to open mine basically. So we'll.
Have you got paste there? Is that paste?
That is paste. Yes,
From
that
Beak?
is paste from Beak and a Third Moon Brewing. Yes.
Yeah. So that's one of the ones from Beak I've not had. I've got a couple of stouts in the fridge, so I didn't really want to bring it home. You know, when you're like, I've got lots of stouts.
I feel bad that I think I may have had the last one now because that's utterly superb. It's got that slight breakfasty, desserty thing that I think most people are looking for. You were talking about the Three Hills stout, so it's got that kind of sweet, desserty stout, but at the same time, it's big, rich, and roasty. So it's kind of straddling those two sides of the coin very well. It's one of those that it's very rich, but I could gulp it down quite quickly because of how tasty it is. So, and Third Moon Brewing, apparently they're from Ontario in Canada. So that's a bit of a transatlantic collaboration there as well. So
Indeed.
That's another thing. Imperial stouts, I would think the Americans are so much better at it than the UK breweries. And even though we're very good, I think those American imports that you can get from some places are utterly top class. I think they are quite a few years ahead of us in terms of brewing. But what they did was took what we were doing and sell it back to us, basically, which is the American way. So
Absolutely. I'll off to the States next year, funnily enough, and I've made it very clear to my cousin who I'm going to go stay with. Imperial Stouts is where he's at. He lives in Texas. He likes his lagers and stuff like that. He likes his real palate cleansers. No. We want the strong stuff. I made him drink the strong stuff when he was over here in February. God bless him.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, go on, guys.
No, I was just saying, obviously Bo came over to say he was initiated in some of the drinks that Adam likes and Bo potentially hadn't really tasted before. He definitely had an initiation into the palate of Adam, and I think he enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I think he went. I think he's sort of gone back home and said, I'll keep trying a couple of those. But yeah, he was more of I suppose a Coors Light guy or whatever it was, or a Bud Light guy, or and that they were the beers that just typical sort of standard run of the mill stuff. But I think he's improved in his beer.
Yeah, bless him.
That's a big leap, though, isn't it? That's a big leap to go from like a kind of Lone Star lager in a koozie on a hot day to then start chucking down room temperature, thick, boozy stouts. That's throwing them at the deep end and hoping they don't drown, right?
Oh no, we wanted him to drown, and bless him, he was pleased he survived.
The craft brewing in America is just stunning. The amount of things that I see and I just think, I want it so badly. So when Martin goes over, I said last time, we go, because there was a little brewery near where he was in Philadelphia, and he just went in and took a picture of the board of what was on and didn't bring anything home.
He was in the building. He went
in just for the photo.
I got a photo.
I can't drink a... Right, that's really... thank you.
Was it blurry? Was it a slightly blurry photo from too far away? It's on WhatsApp.
That. No, he did say, "Oh well, somebody's coming over from America, and she's really into craft brews. So she's going to bring some over." And I said, "Oh, I'll make a box up, and she can take some back and a little exchange." And now I'm slightly worried that I'm just going to get 4 Bud Lights.
Yeah.
You don't want to ask either. You don't want to say, so just okay. And I'm just going to put a smile on and say, okay, and then send her away with 11% beers and some tippers.
Yeah. Well, just on the flavour profiles, we chatted on, I think it was Saturday, whatever day it was that I popped in. And one of the things you mentioned was certain flavour profiles, you don't want to be drinking them cold now. If I'm having, like these beers tonight, these have been sat in the fridge for 48 hours, so they are perfect for me temperature. But you said if you're having something like Gaz's sort of wheelhouse kind of a beer, like a banana or a pineapple flavoured beer, you don't want those to be ice cold, do you?
No, I've had some beers before, and the one was a couple were banana ones where it was, if you had it, our beer chiller at work set to about 10 degrees, which is kind of not set to about 7 degrees, so it's not chilled, but again, it's not room temperature, and like something like banana or maybe pineapple, I have noticed if you have a big serving or like a big bottle, when you're on that last glass, you can taste the banana or the pineapple a lot more when it's warmer than you can when it comes straight out the fridge. That's not necessarily banana in every beer, but I've had lots of beers with those flavors where if it is a subtle hint, you can't pick it up when it's cold. And so the first time I try that, when we get the new ones in, I always prefer to have it at room temperature, and then I can then tell people whether or not you can have it at chilled or room temperature or not without losing any flavor. It is literally just a game of trying them and seeing which one performs better. But that's all we've got to do at work outside of serving drinks is waffle about beer. So it's the devil's in the details, right?
I would never say that's a bad thing. I think we've got the world's perfect job.
Without a doubt, absolutely.
It is a good job.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit envious of the fact that you guys get to drink beer all day. Well, not all day, obviously. Let's not cast aspersions on the quality of your work.
No, but I think Bertie, my old assistant manager, came up with the wonderful rule when he was interviewing somebody to take on for a job. He says the rule is you only drink on shift if you want to. But what that meant was, it was basically, I think everybody that we've had in, if they want to try the beers while we're doing it, it makes everything better. But at the same time, if we're not, none of us are going to be sitting there and have a pint of Imperial Stout while we're running around, the three of us on a Friday when we've got 40 maniacs wanting cask beer, but over each other's heads. If you've got nothing to do, we pass a beer around and we have a chat about it. And if we've that normally bleeds out. That's kind of infectious to the customers as well. I always find I'm surprised that we can shift a keg of Imperial Stout in a week, and that's just because the slightly reluctant people who didn't want to buy a full serving of it, when they look up at the board, I just silently leave a little taster in front of them about 30 seconds after I can see them looking at it. I've done it to the landlord at my local in Middlewich, Paul at the White Bear. He'd look up and go, bourbon barrel-aged coffee stout. Oh God, I saw that, and you could tell he wanted to try it, but he didn't want to spend $4.50 on a third of it. So I just left this little mouthful in front of him.
Yeah.
He goes, "What's that?" And I went, "It doesn't matter what it is, just drink it." And then all those people, just by doing that, people have had a little taste of something, and they don't feel like they're taking such a risk on an expensive product. They've already had something similar, and it's easy for them to walk into it. Then, well, that's taken us years to do, and it's fun to do it. It's really interesting getting new people into new things. When you're someone who has been a bit of a stickler, I don't like X, Y, or Z, and then they finally sort of ask for a taste of something. I'm like, yes, come on, we do it like this. That's literally, that moment is so worth it for going to work for.
It's like having the people from camera that I gave them all a little snippet of what was it now? We had a Impy on, and I gave them all a little snippet each, and put it in there, like just something, and they only drink cask beer, and they just have all the cask that's on. And by the end of it, they go, "Oh, it was really nice, that. What was that? It was a can of that." And one of them bought a can. When they bought a can and went off with a can, I was like, "Oh my God." I remember coming home and telling Martin, like, it was a really big thing. Camera bought a can. Somebody from camera bought a can. And like, you just, what? Who?
Well, one of the things you talked about last time as well was the stuff that you do on Instagram and how you do your taste testing. So just like Liam says, people don't have to feel like they're chucking 10, 11, 12 quid at a can of beer, so that they can actually almost feel like they taste it before they've even had it. And interestingly enough, when you talked about the different beers you had on there, so my wife watched the podcast back as well, and she said that you have an incredible way of describing things. Don't get me wrong, it's nothing that she doesn't enjoy craft beer and stuff like that, but she says you have a way of describing things. You describe it very well. That you know, it's what it takes, rather than that. Like now, if I was handing this to the wife's, "Here, have a go with this. What's it taste of?" "Well, it's beer and whiskey." Do you know what I mean? And I'm not selling it to her, but you have a certain way of putting it across that actually you can almost define those flavor profiles. You've got real talent for it. You have. And to be honest with you, serve yourself, Liam, when you described those beers earlier, you know, you have a certain way of putting it across. You can tell you guys are very, very passionate about your jobs. It comes across, and it's, you know, and it's great to see.
It's an infectious thing though, being at the bar. You start off thinking, "Oh, I only like this," and then you have a little, and then what I try to do is describe like why it is I like it. So if there are some things that I don't like, I do the Emily Blunt "You Had a Baby," like it is a beer. So I generally don't describe what it is. But if I do like it, I can go a little bit. What was she called? Was it Gillian? What was she called?
Go on, what's
Oh, the lady who does the wine.
Oh, yes.
not Gillian McKee? Not the, no.
She's the poo lady.
Oh no,
Gi-
she is, isn't she? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't confuse poo and wine.
It's descriptive.
Yeah.
I would say.
Jilly Golden?
That's it.
Yeah.
So, because if I enjoy it, I want other people to enjoy it, and it's much like I enjoy cooking, because I'm a feeder, and I want people to enjoy it, and I want them to have it and just like look at them while they're having it and like have this second-hand enjoyment from them, like, oh, you're enjoying it, that's really, really good. So when it comes to doing the reviews, I tend to have to edit myself down. So what you see is like 30 seconds of it, but actually I've been talking for a good 5 minutes, and I've had to go, they don't need to know that, and they don't need to know that, and really condense it down. Otherwise, I would be ranting about how this actually really does taste like fizzy dummies, and I could have about 4 million of them, and I think I'd be quite happy. But the sugar content will keep me up all night. So,
how often do you guys get, so say, how often do you get people that come into your place and request a beer maybe that you haven't had or tasted, and then they will explain to you what it is, and you go, oh, okay, we'll try and get that in, and then subsequently then you then put your Della / Liam sort of spin on it, and then more people buy it. Do you get people that come in and ask for specific things, or are they wanting your recommendations and such?
Yeah, so I have a lot of people who come in and drink, sort of the guys who come in and drink the draft stuff. I have lots of people who literally don't ever ask for a beer. I know that they're going to come in on a Wednesday night for 3 pints. I know they want a pint of pale to begin with, something stronger for the second one, maybe a half of the Imperial Stout. And they literally just go, yes, when they come in. And it's like, I can quite happily take care of that. But it's just like, I spend more time with some of these guys than I spend with my wife. So it's kind of like, I should know what they drink. They come in 3 or 4 nights a week, and we pay attention to that. In terms of the stuff that we have on the shelves, normally it's what you need is a keyword. This is what I learned from Waitrose, being the wine specialist. Basically, people tell you 1 or 2 words, and it's very easy to just go X, Y, or Z will fit that. When people are always very nervous buying craft beer for people that they kind of go, oh, well, I don't know if they'll like that. And I go, do they like this beer? Tell me one beer that they really enjoy. And they go, oh, they like Hazy Jane by Brewdog, or they like this, or they like what. So then you can kind of, and I hate saying it, but all IPAs now basically taste the same. There's not a lot of variation in them. They're all brilliant. There's a very high quality, but they kind of all just taste the same. So basically, unless they tell you something that they don't want, then you can kind of just go, we know this brewery is high quality. They're pumping out some really good stuff. You can follow them. We're always going to have their beers regularly coming in. And it's more, the fandom, I think, is more about the quality than the flavour in the Beer Emporium. The flavour's always, the flavour's always important, but we wouldn't buy beer that wasn't of a high quality. And I think that's basically what we're trying to do when we're tasting them. It's having done a lot of home brewing, you have to be very honest with yourself about whether or not what you've done is good or not. And especially if you're getting mates round to drink it, they're not gonna, you can tell by their face on the first sip whether something you're doing is awful or not. And they will be polite, but their words don't matter. You have to watch their face when they're drinking it. And I think it's assessing that quality for me. And that's what I know Della's very good now at picking up on. So she's not saying she's going for the interesting sounding beers, but she very much knows whether or not it's a good quality beer or not, regardless of the flavour. So, and especially with
there's been like when people I've tried like 1 or 2 things where I've gone, oh, I'll get that, and got it and gone, I don't like it. And then I don't like it. But that's, and I want to say that's just me, but this is the good thing about being at work, is that I can say, what do you think about that? And then we all kind of have a consensus. Like, I don't think for example, most of the customers would say, yeah, it was all right. Yeah, you didn't like it, you know. Yeah. I know you didn't like it, so we won't get that again. But sometimes it's worth the punt. Like 3 Hills was a punt. Yeah. That was just me going, that sounds pretty good. it's quite expensive that. And usually I'm terrible at spending money, considering that's the job I've been given. I'm really bad at it. So I look at it and go, it's quite a lot of money that actually.
Yeah.
But when we got it, they were all gone straight away. I think it was within 3 days, 24 cans had gone, and it was just ridiculous. And then every subsequent one we've got of theirs, which were the stouts, went very, very quickly.
Yeah.
I think we've got 2 Jedi Pie Trick in the back, and I think that they're both like.
And a keg in the cellar.
I think they're being mantled like a bird of prey would mantle like a carcass, just like these are ours, these are ours, these are ours. That's not to say if somebody said they wanted it, we wouldn't sell it to them, because we would, because we want to share the love. But that keg in the cellar, that's calling to me. That.
So I've actually done a bit of cellar tidying up today and got rid of some, and actually sequenced and organised all of the Imperial Stouts, and there's a couple there that even I'd forgotten about. So there is, because oh god, yeah, there's one, a Wiper and True Winter Palace Imperial Stout, which has a best before date of 2019. But at 10.5%, nothing bad's happening to it in that cellar. It's just ticking away and just maturing brilliantly until we unleash it on the public.
That's what we're calling it, maturing.
Maturing.
Got a couple of very interesting ones on the way this week, so just keep an eye. Good stouts on the way. I think we've got something from Exhale coming, and Play came today.
Yep.
I might have lost my mind and ordered something that now I can't remember. So those are always fun ones for me when I go, ooh, and then it's gone.
But this is exactly what I was when I first started doing all the ordering. It's like I got to a point where I'm like, it doesn't matter how expensive it is if people buy it. Like as long as people are, as long as the margin's on there and people are buying it, as long as it sells at a good pace and it doesn't matter how much it costs. We're quite fortunate to be able to put on £20 a pint on the Polo beers and not have to worry about keeping them longer than a week. Basically, there was actually one time we had Agamemnon by Omni Polo, which was a 12% Imperial Stout with maple almonds. There was smoked bacon in there. It was just utterly obscene. And it was utterly obscene. And what we did was it was £7.50 a third, or for £2 we did a little taster, which was like just that much in a glass. And there's a lady that came in who only drank pints of bitter. Right? And she was reading all the words on the board and going, almonds and smoked bacon. She's like, can I have a taster of that, please? I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I gave her a little one. She then went round and told everyone in the pub how it's the best beer she's ever drank in her life. So I literally just sat there while this lady who drinks pints of bitter recommended £22 a pint beer to everyone in my pub. And I was like, that's not a bad day at work, man. That is those little moments are just what I remember so fondly about the Beer Emporium. Like, that shouldn't happen, but by Christ, it did. It was like a Wednesday afternoon as well. It wasn't even like a Saturday night. It was just a nice steady afternoon in the pub. So yeah, we've
in that place. Honestly, it's the people.
Yeah.
There's been some days that I'm crouched on the floor laughing at like conversation that I hear, and I think I'll have a great shift. Oh, we're gonna have a good shift. Yeah, we're gonna have a good shift. Fist bump, and then 20 minutes later, I can't breathe. Somebody was saying, "Oh, you mustn't ever mix lubricants," and I lost my mind. And there's like that little snippet, and it was from like a really old guy. So I was thinking maybe he's talking about like bike chains or something like that. No, it wasn't. No, it
wasn't. We've got a mural on the wall, which Ian, our who works with us, our in-house artist, who's very, very talented, by the way. He painted. I gave him a blank wall, and I went, put something on that wall. That's literally the remit that I gave him. And he painted these 3D hand pulls, and then painted regulars that he took photos of and then we wrote snippets of conversation down whilst he was painting it. We wrote these non sequitur one-liners that people had said around us, and we put those in little interwoven things. And one of my favourite ones was, the people that live on hills are really crazy, aren't they? Like, and I don't even know what the context of that was. And then my favourite one was the day he'd finished the mural, and it was a busy Friday night. And a lady comes in and she looks up at the mural like that, and she looks at Ian, and she goes, "Do you like it?" And she goes, Oh, I suppose it was better than what was on there originally. Like that, so we wrote that down and put it on the wall the moment she's gone. Like, and it's just those little things. It's like a time capsule of just a load of great times at the Beer Emporium. It's on the wall, it's on the floor, it's soaked into the seats. It's
Yeah.
I think we try and make sure everyone has a good time when they come in. And more often than not, I think we send them over with a smile on the face, or at least with a couple of pints in the belly anyway. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's an easy job, man. It's an easy job.
Well, I'll tell you something else. Sorry, I'll tell you something else you got on your wall. A picture of a footballer. Did you know? Did you care to share that one with Gaza? Which football would you want to see on the wall? Which you know?
This is
Well, Gaza, obviously, but
No. Better than Gaza. The Romford Pele.
oh, are you kidding me?
No, right.
Ray Parler.
I have to explain this, right? This is one of my but I can't wait to tell people this made it onto the podcast. This is going to be so good. So I don't know anything about football, right? I haven't watched it since I was about 10 years old. Once I found music, I left football behind. But I remember Ray Parler's lovely curly blonde hair from my 1994 Malini sticker album. Right? So whenever people bring up football, I bring up Ray Parler. That's just a thing that I've done for quite a few years now. So going, well, what bring Ray Parler back? Ray Parler had sort all this mess out with United. I'm just saying, I don't even know what I'm talking about. Right? So I've said it that many times. A couple of the guys just go, as soon as I open my mouth, they go, don't bring up Ray Parler again. I don't want to hear him. So one day I look up onto the shelves at the Beer Emporium and there's a framed picture of Ray Parler with an autograph on, right? And my first thing is, one of our regulars, Chris, who's an absolutely wonderful guy, he was setting up the sound equipment at Premier League football games. And I genuinely thought, I'm like, oh, maybe he was at a football game and he was setting the sound up. Maybe Ray Parler was a pundit for TV or something. And then I realised, but he wouldn't have a printed off picture in his pocket to get him to sign, would he? So Chris had just printed off a picture of Ray Parler and put a signature on it and with a little frame and put it up at the Beer Emporium. But even better than that, someone walks in a few days later and goes, that's not Ray Parler's signature. And I'm like, I just said this guy's name a few times. It's one of my favourite stories for the Beer Report. And people keep coming up going, is that Ray Parler? Like, and I was like, yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm a really big fan.
But this has got me in such a state though that I'm desperate to get other obviously fake signatures as well.
Yes.
Like OJ Simpson.
That could be your thing. You could have just like a fake wall, but it's not a fake wall. It's a real wall, but just with fake people on it.
This is a very slippery slope because I'm already getting myself sacked thinking of things to put on there. So and my boss is very forgiving as well. He's that's no, stop thinking about that, Liam. That's far too much for one night.
OJ, Ryan Giggs. All the greats.
Yeah, me getting off the plane on Epstein's Island. Like
me as a child, Prince Andrew.
Yeah, of course. We're going to be doing this now. Thanks for the suggestion, guys, because this is a solid idea. This is what I'll give you a couple of hours.
It's the fake wall. I love it. The fake wall. I love it.
I Photoshop pictures of Pat and Richard Nixon up. Like,
there is Pat is our Photoshop guy, and there is lots of pictures we can't put online where he's edited my head onto the bodies of different dictators. It's absolutely brilliant. Like it'd finish my career if it came out, but oh my god, is it entertaining? So
those was nearly made into a t-shirt. It was on Redbubble and everything. It was so close. I'm having that as a t-shirt. I got my questionable jumper. I've got that now.
In fact, if you guys need a merch line, can you let us design it, please? I reckon we could have some pretty solid ideas off the back of this. So
we're okay with that. You send us over a picture, we'll stick it on our merch site. There's a promise.
Definitely. There we go. This is wonderful. This is a match made in heaven.
Especially if it involves Ray Parler.
Ray Parler, first and foremost.
I wonder if we could actually get his signature as well.
I could get it on Cameo for about £8. Like you could just go and look at
£8. That's not even a challenge.
We'll have a wit round. We'll use the tips jar. What's happened with the tips jar?
What you actually need is though to actually make it a challenge. You need Ray Parler to come into your place and actually sign it below the fake signature.
Before the fake one. That cost 28 quid. Like,
You gotta reimburse him his train fare.
Winsford.
Oh, bless Ray Parlour. I'm a big Arsenal fan, just for the record, which is why I think I was one of the people who walked into your bar and said, really, Ray Parlour signature? I got very excited to see it behind the bar.
So if you'd like the fake Ray Parlour picture,
Yeah.
you are more than entitled to it. You deserve it, being such a big
No.
Arsenal fan.
No.
Don't say that, Liam, because he will take it. He will have that.
No, I like going in there and seeing it up there behind the bar. I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't take that on general principle. So one of the beers that we talked about last time, or something, was it Farmer Brewing or something like that? I forget who it was. Yeah, Farmyard, that was it. So CBD beers, that was something we mentioned last time. Have you tried any since?
So you had the Farmyard, didn't you, Liam? Now I've had the one.
Yes, I was just more intrigued because Elliot from Canabrew, which is the collaboration with the Farmyard one, I'd had his beer before. That just seemed more of like the beer was a receptacle to get CBD into your body, basically. It was more, here's some beer that we've put some CBD in. When I saw the guys from Farmyard had done a 5.7% IPA with that, and it was really, really nice, but there's not really a marriage of flavors from any profile of CBD. It's more literally this beer has some alcohol in it and something that will make you hopefully feel a bit more chilled, if like that's how your brain works. So I think it's more just a receptacle to get CBD towards you than actually it being any type of flavor pairing. But I do know the guys in the States normally I know you can buy CBD and THC beers, but they're from breweries that are not putting any alcohol in them. So what they're doing is, it's like, obviously because of psychoactive effects, they're not putting any alcohol in it, because I don't know if you've ever seen anybody in a coffee shop in Amsterdam who's been drinking all day and then decides to have a little bit of a smoke at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It doesn't normally end well for them.
No.
It's not. It takes a hard constitution to get to deal with both of those things in equal measure, and most of those guys can't manage it. So, sorry, say that again, Della.
Don't cross the streams.
No, very much so.
Yeah,
or crossfados Barbados, they call that apparently in America. That's the crossfaded, which is crossfados Barbados. Yeah, don't cross the streams.
Yeah, well, I've tried since. So after we spoke on the last episode that we did, I tried a CBD mojito on the episode the following time. I did absolutely nothing for me. It was just full of sugar. Yeah. And I'm not going to say it wasn't relaxing. I was fairly relaxed to begin with, so I don't necessarily think it had any effect on me whatsoever. I do remember though, when I was in Amsterdam, they do a cannabis beer over there, which I think has got THC in it. I don't know, because I couldn't drink it. It was absolutely disgusting. Yeah, it was one of the worst beers I've ever tasted.
I think you'll find it'll be a lot of it'll be novelty stuff. It's more kind of, they've got some CBD and they think there's a gap in the market where people will walk past it on a shelf and go, oh, I'll try one of those. And ultimately, I think the whole putting CBD into beer, I think it's more just trying to find a gap in the market. It's kind of, I think people who are going to be drinking craft beer, if they're taking CBD, they don't need the two together. So I think it's more trying to find someone who wants to try them both, but not that interested in either, I think is the problem there.
Washer dryer.
Yeah. Doesn't do either well, but you put it all in one package.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I do think the interesting thing in the States at the moment, so I always find basically all the guys with the best beer are the guys that have been long-standing the best beer hubs in the States, and normally the guys that have legalized cannabis. And what I think is happening with the terms of extracting flavor from the hops, they're taking ideas from the guys that are extracting flavors from the cannabis and vice versa. We had a beer from Salt, which was called a high-density hop charge IPA, which was a certain way of high pressure extracting flavor from hops, and that's basically the same way you make cannabis extract. So it's kind of, I think they're always looking just over into the state and going, oh, see what they're doing, can we do that? I think it literally works hand in hand. It's the same type of brain of people that want to sort of try and improve both things with the mechanical process, basically. So
that's reminded me of that brewery that will remain anonymous I went to go and see.
Oh yes. Go on, tell me a story, Della.
Yeah, I think we need that story.
Pulls up, the car, like that, kids in the back of the car. you say it, all right. And I went in, there was there was one guy, and he was holding an orange, just looking at it like that. He was slightly, you all right, mate? And he was like, yeah. Do you want me to open it for you? He gave me, and I went to explain where I was from, and I was looking for some beers. I opened it, and I gave it back to him, and he was like, oh, orange. His eyes were like that, right? He goes, oh, come with me then, I'll get you some and you can take it back. Because the place was like a mess. They were in the middle of a brew, and they had like pulp everywhere. Right, come around with me and I'll show you. And he's like, and he wanders through, and then where the stock was, there was a guy asleep on top of the stock. Obviously stoned as well, and he gets up and he's like, yeah. And then they go, are you staying? I was like, I don't know you from
I've got a sleeping bag on top of that pallet if you want a nap.
Like, you want to stay here? No, are you staying? No, I'm not staying. In the car. What do you mean? Am I staying? I thought maybe she can stay and open all the oranges for her. I remember getting in the car thinking, that was the weirdest interaction I've ever had with any people. But whenever I see any of their Instagram posts or anything that comes up, I always think, yeah, they're definitely stoned all the time. Slightly different. And you think, how could they? There must be one guy there who does come in and goes, right, guys, you want to go sit in the corner and I'll actually do the brewing. Like, they have the money to set up the brewery, and they just stay over there. A shiny coin or something.
On the flip side of that, I've been in. So I'm lucky enough. Okay, you mentioned you got a mate in the States before. My friend Lindsay's from California originally, but she's currently living in Nashville. So when I've been lucky enough to spend quite a bit of time over there, and she used to when we used to go on these big driving trips for a couple of weeks. We were in Colorado, and she tried to surprise me with where we were going for the day. But then I kind of realized what breweries were in what parts of Colorado, so I kind of normally cut her off on it. And we turned up to Oscar Blues Brewery in Colorado, which at the time was one of my favorite American breweries, and we turned up half an hour before they opened. We turned up at 11:30, and they were doing beer yoga. So the staff and the customers, so they have these yoga mats laid out, and they all had a glass at the end of it, and they do these long stretches, and then they go, and then there's a pause for a beer, so then they'd have a drink. So we were waiting for them to finish, and we were waiting outside. So they packed up, and they all did the namaste, and they all gave each other a hug. So then they came outside and they all lit up joints, right? So, and it was kind of this point, my Steph goes, what's up with you? And I'm like, can we move here, please? Can we please stay here forever? Because Colorado is the most beautiful place on earth. At the time, I thought they had the best beer in America, and they just legalized Canada. I'm like, right, so we should probably be staying here forever then. And it was just one of those moments where the guy, I couldn't stop enthusing about how wonderful this place was that these guys got to work and live in all the time. And I realized this, when you're British and enthusiastic about stuff, people give you free things when you're in America. They just keep giving you stuff. Whenever you spend $3, they'll give you another $3. I just realized if you just complimentary towards people when you're in their establishment, it gets you a very long way. I think that's quite a good way of going about it, but they always look after you when you're doing things like that. So yeah, but those guys were quite engaged and enamored by their workday after that. They weren't sort of asleep, asking you to peel an orange for them. So I think that they were a little bit more used to it than we are at that point. So
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And that sounds like a place I wouldn't mind to visit either, I'm not gonna lie.
I'll check Colorado.
Yeah. So we always wrap things up round about the hour mark here, so we're a pinch over there. But if you guys would like to say your goodbyes to us and leave us with any final message that you have, you're more than welcome to do so.
Right. So the one thing that I've made my notes, I've got notes and everything just in case. I wanted you to continue on your quest for Pliny the Elder. Because
yes.
and I hopefully one day I have tried this beer before, right?
Have you?
And my mate Lindsay from the States and my best mate from Middlewich, when he went over to see her, they wandered into a brewery in San Francisco, and like a brewery tap, and what said, I don't suppose you know anything about Pliny the Elder, do you? And the guy smiled and went, we got a delivery yesterday, mate. He says, it's not going on sale until tomorrow. And he goes, oh, well, I'm only here for the day. I'll literally miss it. So this guy basically illegally sorted him out 2 bottles of Pliny the Elder, which at the time were only 3 days old. So by the time he'd finished his trip, we were going. He dropped his bag off at his mum's house, and he came straight round to my house. We chilled it, watched the film, and he fell asleep during. And I had the very difficult decision of going, I could finish these off and just pretend it never turned up, but. I beg you to continue your search of Pliny the Elder, because it is. I know it's got that cult status, but it really is that good. It's not the most over the top in flavour. It's just this most perfectly balanced sort of West Coast juicy piney IPA. That's my favourite type of beer. So in my attempts when I go to the States next, and I know you're going soon, we will get you a bottle of that, I promise. Because you said the other week, I will absolutely do my best to get you at least a little taste of that. Maybe we could share one on the podcast one day. That would be a good idea.
That's a no-brainer for me. That is, yeah, we will definitely do that.
I'll write it on a piece of paper for Martin. Maybe he'll take a picture of it for you.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
But yeah, thanks for having us on, guys. I really enjoyed the podcast. When I first found out about it, I watched a couple, and I really enjoyed the one that Della was on, and I've told a lot of people about it since. So thanks for having us both on. I very much enjoyed it. And yeah, you're onto something good there. This is a really nice, chilled, easy chat. And I like it's non-formal, and you guys just get together and talk about what you're interested in. So I hope to think me and Della fit in quite well with that. So
yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We talk a lot of rubbish. Is what we do, really.
That's what we do.
You obviously listen to a lot of us.
I think what I'd like to say is just thanks to Liam for giving me a job where I get to talk about beer and I get to be enthusiastic about stuff.
You're very good at it, Della. You're very good at it. We love having you there, and it's a great crowd, and we've got great staff, and you're a very important part of that. So thank you very much.
I say it too many times, and maybe I shouldn't, because you're gonna give me a pay cut. But I come to work for a break. I come to work and I can just let it go, whatever thinking about, and go, what can I get you? And then for the next 6 hours, it's such a breeze. It's a really nice place. The customers are wonderful, aren't they? The customers are wonderful.
No, they are. It's great. Yeah, we know who's coming in on a Monday night. We know who's going to be there at 4 o'clock on a Friday. It's so reliable and comfortable. And yeah, it's dead easy. And so I say good staff and good people. We haven't got much to worry about, have we?
It's a good job. I like it. And thanks for having us on again.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, we've really enjoyed it. I mean, I didn't finish that 10%er, but like I say, I do have the kids upstairs. It is half term, so probably a good thing.
Well, that's it. So I'm halfway down the second 10% because my kids are upstairs, and I just want to sleep through it. And if they wake up, well, to hell with them.
No, mine will wake me up. They like to get really close to my face and just look at me until I wake up. So. Yeah. They're proper needy, aren't the kids?
I don't know what's going on with them.
Yeah. One day they'll figure it out. One day they'll figure out the old adulthood thing, and they'll leave you to it, and they'll bring you delightful beer, Della. So.
Yeah, but it's like every other day they want feeding. It's just. So what is it?
They've been very quiet though. They've been very quiet. They're a bit sleepy. They're not moving around much.
Go to sleep.
That's my biggest challenge on a Tuesday night in terms of podcast is getting them to bed so I can start this.
Oh, one of mine's drugged, so it's fine. Really is drugged, so it's...
Not just for the podcast, might we add? No. In general, not just for the Tuesday night spot.
Have any sleep. I mean, I'll bring you some round. Just
Yeah, I'll pop it in my beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, sir.
Oh, yeah, look, it's been a hoot. Loved this episode. Really enjoyed the last one that Della was on. Great to listen to Della again, Liam. It's been an absolute pleasure having you both on again. Can't wait for the next time. You know what, we're always up for people coming back on, you know, chatting about experiences and it's pretty clear to me that you're absolutely passionate about what you do, and it's great to hear when you're passionate about something and you get to then work at the same place or do the same thing that you're really passionate about. So you know, it's great to hear stories. Obviously wishing you all the best going from friends to friends. Yeah, can't wait for the next time. Absolutely loved it. Both beers have gone, they always do, but both beers have gone. Can't wait till myself and Adam can perhaps join up and hook up and come in and have a couple of beers and share a couple of beers with you guys on site and stuff. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely, guys. That'd be really good. I'll tell you what, if you can make that happen on like a midweek night, right? If you could sort of maybe just do a couple of out like where we can all sit down and actually have a chat, because it does get mad busy on a weekend. But if you can come in on like a Tuesday or Wednesday night for a couple of hours, sort of 7 onwards, we all obviously do the podcast. And maybe we could do the podcast in the Beer Emporium one night.
Well, I'm just thinking. You see, my mind is whirring already, and
maybe,
one of the things that me and Adam said, and Andy, to be fair. What we said we'd love to do is to go to do a few more outside broadcasts, a few more outside podcasts, and obviously the dreaded the COVID hit and stuff, and we haven't been able to plan. Well, we planned loads, but then we weren't able to actually do half the things that we wanted to. So that definitely sounds like something that we can do. We'll rock up, and that's the whole premise of Tourboy Radio. And I don't know whether I said it last time when Della was on. You know, the premise is, there's 2 or 3 lads and we're sitting in a pub and we drop a microphone into the middle of the table. What are we going to talk about? And that's the podcast. We just, couple of lads, couple of mates, just sit around the table, chat it half the time. Hopefully people enjoy what they listen to. And it can range anything from beer to politics to sport to whatever it may be. You know what, we're just going to have a couple of beers. We're just going to chew the fat, throw a microphone down, and away you go. So that absolutely sounds like something that we could do, Ad.
We will definitely make that happen, guys. I'm like, we'll have me and Della will have a chat about that, and we'll figure out the best way we can make that happen, because that'd be really good. I'd really enjoy that. You'll get a little bit of a vibe on a midweek night when it's everyone stood around the bar chatting. It's such a vibe. So, and I think a podcast happening in the middle of that would be a really good way to go about it.
That definitely sounds like a plan.
That could go way though. That could go anyway.
Oh, it doesn't mean you have to put it on YouTube, but it's definitely worth recording. Like,
no, it'll go on YouTube regardless.
Yeah,
it'll go on YouTube regardless.
And you know what? If you've got a couple of guests in there and they want to come and have a quick 30 seconds of fame, or
we'll make sure Dave the Fish is on holiday. That's all I'm going to say at the end of it.
Dave the Fish.
Oh no, I'm gonna have to tell him I've mentioned him on it now, and he's gonna be open.
Maybe we should get the shit on a stick and maybe just call it Dave the Fish, and that's that.
That's a lovely full circle callback. Well done.
Oh, he does. Yeah, that's why he's here, bless him. That's why we booked him.
Good old Gaza.
So, and that is something we will do. That will be great. We've always said we'd like to do an outside broadcast from a bar, so there we go. We're taking it. We'll just turn up randomly one night with all our microphones and stuff, regardless, uninvited.
Whenever you want, you can definitely do that.
No, definitely. But I do need to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, who are Ollie's. So if you like your olives, your nuts, your pretzels, or your chocolate covered pretzels, head to ollies-ollies.com. Use the promo code TALLBOYRADIO, all one word, all capitals, if you're in the UK only, and you will get 20% off your order. And with every order placed on their website, they donate a school meal to a child in need with the help of One Feast 2. So again, great episode. Hope you guys have enjoyed being here. We've enjoyed having you here, and we look forward to the next time that you guys are on. So thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you very much, guys.